Rabbi Harari is the Yeshivah of Flatbush. He stands for everything that this yeshiva stands for. He lives his life loving his fellow Jew, loving his God, loving the state of Israel. He is the walking embodiment of what the Yeshivah of Flatbush is, what it wants from its graduates.
He was the ideal Flatbush graduate, somebody that had secular knowledge and religious knowledge, that was comfortable in all worlds, that was lived a life of Torah, and yet was very approachable and very knowledgeable about the rest of the world.
He was, is, and always will be our role model for how to live an ethical life, a Torah life, a life of wisdom, of empathy, and of humility.
So Rabbi Harari was one of those teachers, principals that people always looked up to. He didn't do what people wanted him to do, he did what should be done.
Watching Rabbi Harari in a meeting is a learning experience. He demonstrated what it means to think very carefully about every single thing that you're deciding, every single person that's going to be impacted by your decision as an administrator.
Raymond would sit there at our meetings and understand the needs of every side, and was very, very careful to make sure that everyone walked out satisfied with that meeting.
It's because he listens to people, he listens, he hears them, and he believes in empowering people as he empowered his students.
One of the incredible things to see was the joy he had from teaching. That was always the very best part of his day.
He's been teaching Gemara at the yeshiva for over 30 years. He keeps all his exams, all his notes, all his materials, and he builds on it all the time. He's a constant learner, even though he's a master teacher.
When he's in the classroom, it's not about him, it's about the students. Finding that kernel of potential in each and every student and enabling the student to live up to the potential.
I told so many students over the years who said, I don't really know Gemara, I don't like Gemara, I don't want to be in Talmud. I said, you're going to have Rabbi Harari. I tell the girls, if you have Rabbi Harari, you'll see why it's worth it. I said, so just try it. And so many of them, of course, they would never have changed it for anything.
Like, you're almost like partners. You figure stuff out together, you learn together. He teaches you how to learn, which is so important. So he gives you tools to thrive.
He was a teacher beyond compare. My children, my nieces, anyone know, when you had Rabbi Harari as a teacher, you were seeing a teacher that was dedicated, smiling, loving what he was doing, and in his own element. And it made the yeshiva that much better.
He was the greatest teacher I've ever had. He was clear, he was passionate, he cared about every single moment of his lesson. And I became somebody who loved learning Gemara, for sure, but also somebody who loved education because of the example that Rabbi Harari set.
Anytime you walk by Rabbi Harari's class, you see the students, the girls that he teaches, so engaged, so involved. How often do you see students coming to their teacher, not during school time, during their lunchtime, asking, can we have an extra class?
He offered us a once-a-week lunchtime class where he would give us an article. He said, you're going to enjoy it, and we're going to discuss it. And in those lunchtime discussions was where he truly evolved from just a teacher to a mentor, a confidant, and a friend.
When people would ask him what he does, people outside the community, he tells them that he's a teacher. He's never been next to me and told people that he was head of school. He sees himself mostly as a teacher.
In the most matter-of-fact, in the most natural way, Rabbi Harari's approach to teaching Gemara and Halakha and Jewish history has created generations of young adults and now adults in the community who know how to think critically about Torah, who can talk about Torah and Judaism and Jewish life with insight.
One of the greatest impacts that Rabbi Harari had on the school was the imagining and building of the new extension to the high school. He was there from the very beginning. It started with us going out and visiting various schools. We walked into one school and there were kids just sitting on the floor studying in the middle of the day. And Rabbi Harari couldn't believe that was possible, that they were just sitting on the floor. And he had a conversation with the principal, and he came back and he said, we need a place just for the kids to hang out. That's not the study hall and not the classroom. And that's how the idea of the students' commons developed.
When I learned halacha or Gemara or Torah with Rabbi Harari, he made me feel comfortable using my own voice in Torah. He made me comfortable being creative in my learning. And I think that's the greatest gift that a Jewish educator, that Rabbi Harari has offered to the community.
In his first speech, I'll never forget it, in his first speech, he talked about the fact that he wanted to change the tone and tenor of the school. He wanted to be much more friendly, much more open, much more honest, and much more about making sure that the experience of the kids is more positive.
Rabbi Harari is legendary for all the children who grew up here in the yeshiva and understood that Sephardic culture is very serious, and Sephardic history is very serious, and something that they are grounded in now.
He never wanted to be head of school. He saw a need, so he stepped into the need. He had been asked twice before to be head of school, and he didn't take the job. But when he saw that there was a need, his love for the yeshiva forced him to take the job.
We're blessed as a board, we're blessed to have him continue to teach to our students and to serve our kehillah.
You've devoted your entire life, personal, professional, familial, to making sure that our Masorah, our Torah, our Midot were developed.
The Yeshivah of Flatbush is in a good place because of him, because he brought his own sense of appropriateness. He brought his sense of decency. He brought his vast mind to this job, and we're very much indebted to him for all that he's done for the school.
There's nobody on the planet that wants a book less than you. There's nobody that wants this tape less than you. There's nobody that wants the dinner less than you. But it just has to be, because we have to show the next generation that we appreciate leadership, we appreciate people that give their lives. You could have done anything in the world. You chose to be a rabbi, you chose to be a teacher, you chose to dedicate your life to our community. And we must let the world know that we appreciate it. So it had to be. And thank you.
Rabbi Harari, you stand for Torah, for Ahavat Hashem, Yirat Hashem, love of Medinat Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Kivod HaBiriyot, Torah Mada. These are all the values that are at the heart of what the Yeshivah of Flatbush is. For over 40 years, you've helped shape and perpetuate the values of the Yeshivah of Flatbush. On behalf of myself, my family, the board, everybody sitting here, we can't thank you enough for everything that you've done for our yeshiva and for our community.